Hope you're having a great day from the Citizens Bank studio. Welcome to the Ricky Matthews Show. Hope you're having a terrific day. That is for sure. Listen, I got a note from a listener the other day, and she said, "Why don't you share your quotes from people, famous people? Why don't you do that every day? Why do you skip days?" She kind of looks forward to getting those every day. And I try to do it every day, but I just forget sometimes. I'm not inspired or whatever it might be. But here's one for this morning from my digital history book. It actually was Leslie Lawson. Do you know who that is? Twiggy. Do y'all remember the British cultural icon and model Twiggy? Anyway, she said along the way, she was born in 1949, incidentally, but she said, being young isn't about age. It's about being a free spirit. Now, I think she lived that for sure back in the days that we knew her. And, I like to live my life that way. I don't see age when I think about myself. I think about what I have on the inside and my aspirations and what I want to do. But I do agree, being young isn't about age. She was definitely right about that. Okay, let's shift gears real quick and bring in my friend Jeff Duncan. He's a columnist and reporter for NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. He joins us every Friday. And I'll start the show out today by simply saying, welcome, Jeff, and who dat?
That's not a very inspired who dat. I know you want to give more.
Well, you know what I did before the show started? I went, who dat?
Yeah, that was a little better. It's funny when we were in that. Oh, my
goodness. But, it's been two great games, though, hadn't it, my friend?
Yeah, it's been an unbelievable start to the season. In the town, when the Saints win, Ricky, it's just a different feeling around New Orleans. And right now, everyone's been energized and revitalized by the Saints' start. I mean, tickets are hard to come by. You random strangers are yelling "Who dat" at you on the street. It's it's what makes New Orleans a cool place to live when things are going well for the team. So let's see if it continues. But so far, it's been I think everyone in the league is stunned by this start, including the Saints themselves, even though they probably won't admit it. I don't think anybody saw this coming.
Hey, listen, I should point out, too, that you and I discussed this last Friday, but, Francine came in, hit a little bit to the right of the cone in Louisiana, and then did that zigzag and went right over the city and dumped a lot of water and created some challenges for people in the region. And so within the context, that certainly could have been worse. And certainly if it had been a more strong storm, it would have been sort of the worst case scenario for the kind of track a storm would take. But people were pretty fatigued because of that. And the Saints, once again, create this incredible outlet for people to get away from those things and really focus on the things that make them happy. I think, again, I just love that the Saints provide that kind of relief for people.
Yeah, I've said this before. I mean, the Saints are one of the, traditions or customs of the city that we rally around that kind of unites the whole city. I think we have some other things that fall under that umbrella. Obviously, Mardi Gras, Jazz Fest, where really all the political, racial, demographic divides melt away and dissolve, and everyone's together on this exact moment. And I think the Saints games and the Saints experience is part of that. So it's good to see it. I mean, it's not easy to live here, especially right now with our government dysfunction and, lack of leadership. It's hard sometimes. And so I think we look for things to take us away, escape, distract, whatever you want to call it. And I think Saints games are part of that. In the last few years haven't been so good. So it's been even more difficult. So I think that's part of why everybody is so inspired right now and excited.
Incidentally, we're all kind of watching the tropics again as the models show something potentially forming in the Caribbean or the Bay of Campeche. Later part of next week could get interesting for the Gulf Coast. Let's hope that the ridge that's over the United States now is stronger and lifts it out of here quickly so that we don't have to deal with it. So that's all I want to say about that.
Yeah,
but let's hope we don't have another.
About that, Ricky.
Huh?
I didn't even know about that. You're bringing me down, man.
Yeah, unfortunately, you'll be hearing more about it. Unfortunately, it hasn't even formed yet. It's going to be forming from what's called a central Central American gyre. You've heard that CAG type of storm, and so they're really slow to develop. But the upper air conditions and the heat content of the Gulf and the shear and all those things, if it does linger, it's going to have the perfect environment to get strong. So let's hope that's not the case. We're just watching for now, and we won't know anything for several days. Hey, listen, there's so many places to start. There really are. But I saw the Derek Carr interview. I guess it was yesterday, and you were there, and you got a chance to have kind of a back and forth with him. Derek he's kind of in a zone right now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's playing at a very high level. You can tell he's playing with a lot of confidence, and I know everyone's caught up in the scheme and the X's and O's, and we've talked about that a lot on the program. But what I see right now from this team is just a lot of belief and confidence in what they're doing. And I think that goes a long way. If you don't have buy-in, then maybe one guy of the 11 doesn't block like he should, and the 11-yard gain ends up being a 3-yard gain. And what right now, everyone's dialed in. They believe in what they're doing, and there's just a confidence level in it. And it carries over to game days, and you're seeing a guy like Derek Carr really blossom. He's pulling the trigger and just letting it rip. He's not thinking. Some of these long passes he's throwing, you can't pass the ball any better than he's doing. Now, I don't know if it's going to continue. I mean, the degree of difficulty on some of these plays is off the charts. But so far, it's just looked probably even better than Clint Kubiak and Dennis Allen would have drawn it up. What they're doing, Ricky, is they're playing to the strengths of the team. And I know that sounds simple, but they're playing to their good players, their personnel, and they're masking the weaknesses of those personnel. And they've done it really masterfully so far. And I think it's a lesson in coaching. It doesn't have to be that sophisticated. Sometimes just play to your best players, do what they do best, and give them confidence. And that's what we're seeing.
Well, when they went into the season, one of their goals in finding Clint Kubiak was they wanted to improve dramatically the running game. They didn't want these third and long scenarios, and they needed to do better on third down. Luke Johnson on your team did a great article that really sort of got behind some of the statistics of what they're doing. But they're currently 57.1% on third down. But if you take away the fourth quarter, where, in both cases, the fourth quarter, as he talked about it, which the Saints were trying to salt away big leads, they converted 14 of 17, 82.4% on third down. That's incredible.
Yeah. Well, the numbers are astronomical right now. I mean, the first team offense scored on their first 15 drives. That's simply unheard of. I've covered the league a long time. I've never seen anything like. I think one other instance that we found was the 2007 Patriots did that. It's really, I don't even know what to say. I've never seen offense like that. They're making it look very easy. The running game isn't supposed to be that easy. So I'm a little apprehensive because it's been so good. It can't continue to be this good. And so I'm the thing that stands out to me has been the blocking. Rick Cleveland, longtime columnist in Jackson, right, in the state of Mississippi, I have great respect for, said, called me over the weekend. He said, I've watched the Saints since John Gilliam returned the kick. And he said, I've never seen a team block as well as they're blocking. And I agree with him. They're getting to the second level. They're cutting off pursuit lanes. They're really playing into the strengths of the offensive line, the athleticism of these linemen. And then they're also, remember we talked earlier about everyone was concerned about who the third receiver was going to be. And I was saying they're not going to be in a lot of three receiver sets. I mean, no receivers caught a pass other than Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave. They're not going to play that way. They're playing to their best players, and it's working extremely well right now.
The red zone last year was so bad. The Saints, one thing that we could be guaranteed is when they got in the red zone, they probably weren't going to score a touchdown. That it was just so hard to watch. They're 4.9 yards per play. a full 2 yards better than the league average right now in the red zone. That's unbelievable. That they've made. You're talking about the pendulum swinging. It's unbelievable how much it swung.
Yeah, but I mean, the body of work's so small. I've got to, again, I'm going to temper on things. I mean, because it's very small body of work. And watching the game again, and I've watched it now 3 times. I mean, they really attacked Dallas's linebackers who had not been really, I think, exposed yet. And I think Clint Kubiak and the Saints exposed them. That second level of Dallas's defense was awful. I mean, I don't know how to say it any other way. They weren't pursuing hard. Micah Parsons came out and said the effort wasn't there. I saw it on tape. I'm not taking anything away from the Saints, but I mean, it was awful. So, they're not going to run into that every week. And especially now that they're winning, you're going to get more inspired efforts. But they laid an egg defensively in that game.
Hey, when we come back on the other side, one of the interesting things about the Saints doing so well through the first 2 games is the amount of analysis of the Saints by every major sports network, every major blogger. Holy mackerel. The amount of analysis is unbelievable, and few of them find many weaknesses. We'll see more about that on the other side with Jeff Duncan. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank studio. As I said at the beginning of the show, Twiggy said being young isn't about age. Saints are an older team, Jeff, and some of their oldest players are contributing in some unbelievable ways. Like I've seen, I mean, look at Demario
Davis.
Unbelievable. And Tyrann Mathieu, I know he overran that one play, but he's playing well. You think about Alvin Kamara. Some of the best plays are coming from our oldest players.
I know. Demario Davis was lights out on Sunday. I mean, he played as good a game as I've seen him play in a long time. He just shows no signs of aging. He's kind of miraculous in that way. And yeah, they're what's happening in these games, Ricky, is they're getting these big leads early, and then the game flows all in their favor, so the defense can turn back their ears. It's what every team in the league aspires to get to, right? You get a big lead and you play from ahead. It's the exact opposite of what happened to the Saints last year in their games against Detroit and Jacksonville, where they got behind and they were playing catch up against the Rams. They're on the other side of that now, and it's a lot easier to call plays. You can call on 3rd and 4, you can call run or pass because it doesn't matter. And you're right. Luke wrote this week. They're staying out of 3rd and long, and that's been huge for them. I mean, it's exactly what this team doesn't want to be in because of their pass protection issues at right tackle. They do not want to be in that position. So kudos to Clint Kubiak and the staff for keeping them out of it so far. It's really been amazing that they haven't had really any 3rd and longs all season long in 2 full games.
Well, look, as I mentioned before I went to break, this may be the most analyzed team in the NFL right now. Everyone's talking about the Saints. Everyone's doing deep dives. One of the deep dives I watched, incidentally, I got Demarius in my head and couldn't get it out, but Demario Davis, every play, it isolated him for every play. And man, oh man, one of the things I didn't realize about him is the speed at which he plays the game every single play. I mean, he doesn't take a play off. He's hitting hard. He's running fast. He's relentless every single play. I never really understood him to be that kind of player, but boy, he is, isn't he?
No, he's remarkable. I mean, I think you can make the case that next to Sam Mills, he's the best linebacker in franchise history, and or maybe Ricky Jackson, but certainly inside linebacker. And it all starts with him. I mean, he's the team captain. The Saints are built a little bit like a really good baseball team. They're strong up the middle with Tyrann Mathieu at safety, Demario Davis in the middle, and then they're playing a lot of Cam Jordan inside now with Brian Brzee. It's the strength of the team. You don't see a lot of big runs going up the middle. People run away from Demario Davis. And that play he made, down the sideline in pass coverage, for a guy his age to do that is, pretty remarkable.
I know the exact play you're talking about. And what was so interesting about it was how fast it unfolded. I mean, He had to be in the right place at the right time in microseconds. I mean, you see it in slow motion, and you don't get a sense of how fast that particular play unfolded. And he defended it, and he got there so quickly. It was so impressive.
But what you're seeing right now is the Saints have these opportunities like that, and they're making them. Right? Like the big plays to Shaheed down the field, they're hitting on them. Now, that was a good example. The Cowboys had exact setup they wanted, and Dak underthrew that ball. It gave Demario time to kind of get into the play. A better ball, that's a touchdown. They didn't hit him. They had another one in the seam where he wasn't on the same page with CeeDee Lamb, and he airmailed it. And then they had another play that Tom Brady talked about where Dak threw a C ball, and Tyrann Mathieu came over and broke it up. A better pass with more torque on it gets that ball there. It's a 20-something yard gain. That's the difference right now in the NFL. Saints are making those big plays. The Dallas, I did not think Dak played well at all in this game. And he didn't. He has to play well against the Saints defense like that for them to have a chance.
Well, going into the Philadelphia game, I mean, don't you think the bottom line is that we gotta stop the run, and we gotta stay in our space on the perimeter and let the defensive backs do their job? I think we stack up pretty good. I know it's going to be a tough game in the trenches, but don't you think we stack up pretty good with Philadelphia?
Yeah, I think it's a great matchup. I think the Saints definitely, if they play well, I think they win this game. They just got to stop the run. To me, that's if you put Jalen Hurts into obvious passing situations, that's what the league's been doing to him. I think they've only won 2 of their last 9 games. So the bloom's off the rose there. People have figured out how to defend them, and the Saints are going to have to deal with Saquon Barkley and Hurts in the running game. But if they can shut down that running game, I think they should have this game in hand. Now, the next 3 games are the ones I'd be most worried about, because I think those are all dicey 50-50 games. But this dome environment on Sunday is going to be electric. And, Philly is going to bring some fans, I know, into this game. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a fun game to cover.
Well, it's great to see the Who Dat Nation do what they do, but they did it over at AT&T Stadium, man. It was just so awesome to hear that. I told Annie, of course, you were there, so I don't know what you experienced, but I'm like, Ann, can you hear the crowd noise in Dallas Stadium? It sounds like some of those places sound like we're at a Saints stadium. It's unbelievable how good the Who Dat Nation is doing right now.
Yeah, when they get rolling like this, the Saints are among the most supported teams in the league. I mean, they really travel, especially in Dallas, where there's a lot of transplants. They tend to take over a stadium when they get up like that. I've seen it happen a number of times. It happens in Tampa a lot. And yeah, they were partying. They were enjoying that one. Trust me, that was one of those ones you're going to remember for a long time.
Part of the problem with Dak this past game was, they were playing from behind, and that's where I think the Saints are super dangerous. That's when they play their best. They keep running the score up higher and force the other team to have to throw the ball. It's just an interesting scenario for the Saints. If they can get into that scenario every time, man, it really plays to our strengths, doesn't it?
But yeah, and I think hitting those 2 just huge plays early in both games, right? These bombs to Rashid. The degree of difficulty on those 2 passes is off the charts, and to hit them, it just it's like a relief valve. Everybody relaxes. You got a lead. It's a little bit of a lightning bolt to the other sideline. The crowd gets into it. So there's just so much that goes into that, and you're not going to get that every week. It's going to be hard to do. And there's going to be a little more of a, even Steven game. But I think the running game is what you have to hang your hat on. If you're a Saints fan, you have to be encouraged by that. I mean, that is the bread and butter of this offense. It's exactly what they need to do with this team. And right now, it's been off the charts. I haven't seen a team run as well as the Saints are right now, as long as I've covered it. It goes back to the days when they had Deuce McAllister and Reggie Bush and Pierre Thomas in the backfield, and they were running the ball really well. But nothing like this, but again, we're 2 games in.
Offensive line play has been really good. Ruiz, what a game breaker he is. And then you think about Penning has not been a big issue so far. It's really been playing to their strength, but they get out in space. They're bulldozers, aren't they?
Well, they got really good athleticism. I mean, between McCoy and Ruiz and Fuaga, the rookie left tackle, who looks like a real hit at that position, and then Lucas Patrick graded out as the best offensive lineman in the entire league this past week by Pro Football Focus. No one saw that coming, I can tell you that. I mean, he's basically a journeyman. So, yeah, they're getting everything out of these guys, and they're playing to their strengths, like I said. And I do think it plays into their athleticism. These guys are like getting out and showing off their athleticism, these big guys.
Wow, just so good to see. You've alluded to this, but to see the defensive line play well, to see good linebacker play, looks like we found our tandem on the safety side. I mean, those pieces are coming together if we can stay healthy.
But I tell you, the defense is going to be fine. I mean, we knew that all along. They are what they are. Dennis Allen has a style of play. They're tough. They're physical. They get after you. It was a question mark was, how's this offense going to look? And so far, it's looked beyond expectations. No one expected this. And I do think the league will slowly adjust, and there's going to be game circumstances that make it tougher. But it's definitely encouraging. There's no question about it.
I think all the motion is causing confusion. I mean, that's the thought that that's your strategy. Tactically,
I don't know if I buy that. I mean, every team in the league runs motion. There's more going on here than that. I mean, motion's nothing new. People have been running motion for decades in the NFL. I don't think that's it. I think they caught the worst team in the league in the opener, and then they caught a Dallas team that was very overconfident that really laid an egg, and they're prone to do that sometimes. But the Saints are also themselves playing at a high level. So you combine those things, you end up with these blowouts because the Saints are executing. And like I said, they're playing with confidence and they're dialed in. I mean, they're just, you can see it in their body language, how dialed in they are and the way they're aggressively. Saints were so much more aggressive in that game. And I don't know why Dallas was the way they were. I mean, you go back and watch their linebackers and safeties. They picked on that rookie corner and they just look passive. And you can't play this game passively. That's what happens to you when you do. Yeah,
you love hearing Alvin Kamara come off the field and go straight up to Kubiak and thank him for having confidence in him. And I just love that, man. Just last observation before we end this segment.
Well, Clint Kubiak could run for mayor right now in the city, and I think he'd win in a landslide. He's the most popular guy in town, and it's good to see. I mean, it was obviously a home run hire by the Saints, and you have to credit the front office, Mickey Loomis, Dennis Allen for identifying him and what he's doing. Now they got to hope they can just hang on to him.
We've turned the corner from Sean Payton, and now you're working on your next book. hopefully we'll Kubiak's around for a long time. Hey, listen, thank you, my friend.
All right. Thanks, Ricky.
This has been Jeff Duncan from NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. We'll see you after this break with JT Mitchell from SuperTalk Mississippi News.